we glossed over Napoleon Dynamite a little bit. So I rewatched some of it the other day because it's hilarious and it's hard not to want to watch the whole thing, but these two little dreamboats over here keep me a little busy. But I wanted to ask about the locations of the houses. So when you scouted these houses, were these people living like this? Like, what happened? Like, what was going on there?
Yeah, so we shot it in the town where the director grew up. And so he wrote this script. This is in very, very, very rural Idaho. Mm-hmm. He wrote the script with certain of these locations in mind. And so none of the house exteriors are the same as the house interiors, kind of typically for what we do, yeah. Kind of typical practice for what we do, yeah. So so he had a lot of these places in mind. We still scouted them and looked at options to make sure that the aesthetics were right and that it kind of told the right story for us, not that there weren't better options for it. But a lot of, yes, interior design is probably what you're talking about, especially Napoleon's house, which is pretty funky. Everything that I used on that show is stuff I purchased in that area, or stuff I borrowed in that area, or stuff I rented in that area. So the Napoleon house was pretty empty. That was an empty house, the interior. I had to build like a little wall in there, like one of the walls in the kitchen I built that's wood paneled, and there was a couple pieces of furniture that were left in that place, but I scoured like that tank, because kind of the idea for a lot of that aesthetic was it's kind of the land that time forgot, which is some of that Midwestern aesthetic.
Which you don't know what the time is there, because your soundtrack is like 80s, and then but then you got Jamiroquai in there, so like the time of that is unknown.
Yeah, I think the intent was that it was always like a contemporary film. It's just in a place where contemporary aesthetics and life didn't really matter. It didn't matter that things were new or that things were of the now. All that matters is that things function the way they need to function for us. So a lot of that aesthetic came from what is still kind of lying around in this world that people still use and still function well and still, tell the story of who the characters are. So, I think a lot of the Napoleon furniture I bought from a storage unit that was up there just outside that town in Idaho there. So I got a couple of those suites of furniture, matching lamps and things like that kind of came together. But a lot of like that aesthetic up there is 20, 30 years old at the time. So honestly, it was a lot easier to dress and design that film there than I think it would have been in LA. Yeah.
Because you would have gotten pieces that are statement pieces and not like regular everyday sort of life pieces.
Exactly. And also, we get stuff from our rental houses here, and some stuff's a little beat up. It's not as taken care of as it should be because it moves 20 times a year, and you've got to fix it. But because I bought a lot of the stuff from people that were still, up until recently, using it, a lot of the stuff was still in pretty great condition. It was still stuff that people took care of and cleaned and maintained and had on display in their homes. So I think I felt kind of lucky in that we found this really great stuff for the show that was in pretty immaculately preserved condition because it was something that had, kind of been caringly used for the past 30, 40 years.
How did you come up with the locker colors?
We lucked out. The school was actually those colors.
Oh, that's the wrong answer.
I know. I feel bad even saying that, but yeah, so that's school. And that became like this big iconic part of the whole marketing of the film. Like the poster had the lockers, and the trailer had the lockers in it. And that was the actual high school that the director of the film went to.
Oh my gosh, that's
so crazy. He was like very intimately, had exactly in mind what he wanted for the shots and how he wanted it to look. And but wasn't that cool though? Like the color combination was perfect, and it was like just funky enough to work. So.
Now, I know the answer to this question, but how did you come up with the Vote Pedro t-shirt?
Vote for Pedro. Those are just the director's wife bought the peel and stick stickers like down at the craft store and just made the shirt, in the driveway.
It's so crazy. So crazy.
So yeah, a lot of that stuff was like, how would these people make what what they show and what they use. So like then the flyers they have are like done by on the computer. It's all kind of done by hand. So for Pedro flyers, it's all hand drawn, even the text.
But that's all your drawings, right? The unicorn and like all that.
All the text I had. So John Heater, who plays Napoleon, he drew the actual liger and stuff. So it would be like in his style. And then I put it together by drawing all the rest of the flyer and stuff around it.
That's awesome. And then you did I love the photos in their living room, like the.
Oh yeah, so day one I kind of, and trying to study for what that film should be. It's a weird aesthetic, but I bought a bunch of like old Sears catalogs and furniture catalogs from the 70s and department store fashion catalogs from the 70s and 80s to try to figure out what that look is. And like that photography style was obviously so popular that one of my first ideas was, because we had those scenes of sitting on the couch against the wall, which is like the death knell of cinematography there, right? So it was, how do we like enliven that little tableau? How do we make that feel like it's something that's interesting and is kind of serving what the feel should be? So it was that type of photography that was. Yeah, in fact, I've still got those. They're in my house here somewhere.
There's your college. There's your kid's college fund. There you go.
Yeah, so I made those on day one. It was like I took the photos of both him and Kip and Napoleon in the driveway, and then I went back to the little house I was staying in and photoshopped them all together and printed them out and bought those frames down at the little craft store in town.
Iconic. There you go.
Yeah.
That movie holds up. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, good. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to rewatch it and see if I'm embarrassed for what I've done or if I'm still proud of it.
Oh yeah, you should be. I mean, it's really good. It's really funny, and I think aesthetically it's fun to watch because it's so weird. It's like you nailed this weirdness, this vernacular weirdness of like people in Idaho. That's kind of fascinating. I mean,
well, good. I'm glad. And also, I think one of the things similar to like how Fanboys was really fueled by like our passion for the projects, like Napoleon more so probably than almost any other project I've done, was fueled by like this communal passion to do it. We didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't have any money to do it. We, certainly didn't have any inkling of what the success of it would be.
God.
But we really had like this passion for what it could be. So, one of the things we really took the time to figure out is like, what is this language of design that's in this film? Mm-hmm. So everything from, the cinematography to how each of those frames was set up by our DP, which is, each one's like a little tableau. It's a little moment in time. It's kind of this locked off frame that because like that's the way it was shot, I was able to cater the design to each of those little locked off frames. We were able to kind of dress to what that image we felt was kind of the right thing to do for it. So it was kind of like a commercial, how you can art direct each kind of camera setup, very purposefully and very directly. It's kind of the same thing we did for this film, because each little locked off shot needs to almost kind of feel like a little piece of artwork in and of itself.
Oh yeah, they're great little vignettes in the film, and that alpaca. I mean, it's all the teeter ball. Like they're all really beautiful shots too, because you just have that big wide open space when he's out with the alpaca, and just even like the van, I don't want to say van, but the place where the dude lives, like just the scenery is so beautiful, and then you have this weird piece of set dressing in there. It's just such a story in just the look of it.
Oh, good. One of the things that we had on that, like we didn't have any money, but because we were all in college together and the director had been, coming up with the stories like for years, is that we had like a lot of time to think about this and figure it out, like while we were in school and while we were in, quote, pre-production for it. So we benefited from the amount of time we had, whereas we didn't have the money to do what I think normally would have been expected. We had the time to really kind of figure out and
yeah, time and money.
What that aesthetic should be.
Time and
That's
money.
Right.
You always want more.